what do you want to do today? You want to watch something? Still not talking to me, huh? Well, I'm not apologizing again. I said what I said. Okay, whatever.
Oh my God!
Oh, hi there. My name is Prostetnik Vogon Jeffs, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about the 2024 Canadian horror thriller Humane, a movie that's light on horror and thrills, and a little too Canadian in all the wrong ways.
Oh man, he's reviewing a Canadian movie? That's about as interesting as reviewing toothpaste.
It's directed by Caitlin Cronenberg, the Nepo baby director-daughter of Canuck film icon David Cronenberg, who proves she's a bit more Ishana Shyamalan
That's it! We're leaving, kids!
than she is Sofia Coppola. Let's get into it.
I f***ing hate this f***ing movie.
Hey, I know that kid. He's such a little shit.
You would think that being the son or daughter of a famous director would give you some insight on how to make a good movie. You would think that maybe these Nepo directors would be privy to knowledge and training that could give them a creative edge. You would think that, and you would be wrong. Because Humane is a shining example of how sometimes the apple does fall pretty far from the f***ing tree. Spoilers! This movie is terrible, and I'm going to spoil the whole thing. Alright. In the midst of an environmental crisis, Charles York, a former news broadcaster, invites his children for a family dinner. He and his second wife, Dawn Kim, a former chef and restaurant owner, have news to share. The governments of the world, in a World Economic Forum-esque death pact, have mandated euthanasia programs to help control population growth and pollution. One by one, Charles York's children arrive. Jared, an anthropologist working with the government, Rachel, a pharmaceutical CEO along with her daughter Mia, Ashley, a struggling actress, and adopted son Noah, a recovering drug addict. At dinner, a remorseful Charles apologizes to his family for not being around more when they were younger.
And I should have been here for you.
Noah interjects after the meal and wants to share some news with the family. He's abruptly cut off by Rachel, who demands to know why they were all invited for dinner.
I think these two need to tell us what the we're all doing here.
Rachel.
Charles and Dawn share that they have decided to volunteer themselves in the government euthanasia program. Charles claims he wants to avoid losing any of his children to a potential government draft. The children are shocked and puzzled. Jared explains that the draft would only require one person per family, and volunteers could take the place of those drafted. While Charles and his children are waiting for Dawn to prepare dessert, Ashley accidentally forces Noah to reveal he is currently dating another recovering addict. Charles is concerned, but ultimately happy for him. Dawn gets cold feet and decides she doesn't want to participate with the planned sacrifice.
She's gone.
She leaves before dessert, just as DOCS, the Department of Citizen Strategy, led by the effervescent Bob,
Hi, I'm Bob.
arrives at the house. He greets the family and inquires about the absent Dawn. Charles attempts to reschedule the procedure so that he can do it with his wife as planned, and Bob agrees, so long as Charles signs release forms that would freeze his assets and ultimately tarnish the family name, branding him a coward. Fearing for his reputation and his children's inheritance, Charles agrees to move forward with the procedure. But that's not good enough for Bob and the docs.
We're here to collect, 2 bodies.
You're scaring my niece. Get out.
Oh my god!
Mia is escorted out of the house, as children are exempt from the program, and Bob gives the 4 York siblings 2 hours to decide who will volunteer. After reflecting on their own failings for a minimal amount of time, Jared, Rachel, and Ashley unanimously agree that Noah should be the one to die. His addiction resulted in a car accident, and a subsequent financial settlement drained the family estate of $3 million. Jared, Rachel, and Ashley don't think he's entitled to any more of the inheritance. The siblings ask Bob whether one of them has to volunteer, or whether they could just present him with a body. Bob doesn't really care either way. So Jared, Rachel, and a reluctant Ashley attack Noah, who fights back before being overwhelmed. He narrowly escapes and manages to send a text to his girlfriend, Grace, by throwing his phone beyond the perimeter of the property. Oh, right. I didn't mention that before. The docs team scrambled communications when they arrived so that no one could change their mind or call for help. Some bullshit like that. It really doesn't matter. Noah tries to patch himself up and finds some makeshift weapons and armor, but he is once again tricked by Ashley. The siblings continue to fight until Noah is knocked unconscious and tied up. But just as Jared, Rachel, and Ashley are about to put an end to Noah, Grace, Noah's girlfriend, shows up unannounced and concerned. She wants to know where Noah is, but Bob insists that she leave. Jared tells Grace to run and get help, but as she is leaving the property, a docs agent shoots her in the back. Hearing the commotion from inside the house, Noah breaks free and disappears. Jared, Rachel, and Ashley search for him before he attacks and manages to incapacitate all of them. Realizing what they've done and having some unbelievable last-minute change of heart, all three of them volunteer to sacrifice themselves. But Noah has a better idea. They'll get Bob instead. The siblings signal to Bob that they've made their decision, but upon entering the house, he and his docs agents are ambushed. Bob is captured and Ashley dies from her injuries. One of the docs agents is murdered, and just before the remaining siblings end Bob's life, he reveals that they have Don Kim in custody. Bob wants to bargain. Later, the remaining family members, including chicken shit runaway Don Kim, attend a piano performance by Noah, who is totally fine after being hunted by his family, murdering his sister, and losing the woman he loved. And Bob shows up in government propaganda to claim that Ashley and Grace are heroes, and fuck this fucking movie, holy crap.
Watch your mouth!
The end. Alright, before I dump all over this mess, let's talk about a few things that weren't relentlessly horrible.
You don't have to do this.
Let's start with this being a Canadian production. I'm not a huge fan of the Canadian production aesthetic, low budget, as some people would call it.
Hey,
But I am a proud Canadian, so I feel obliged to at least support the national origin and industry of this garbage. And it was filmed in Hamilton, Ontario, so my sympathies go out to the cast and crew for working through the smell of rotten eggs.
How f***ing dare you!
And Enrico Colantoni. He's great. There's something about him that I enjoy watching, no matter what he's in, no matter how awful it is. I always seem to enjoy his performance. Sebastian Chacon, the guy that plays Noah, he was okay-ish. He seems like he's got some acting chops. The movie does its best to disprove that. There's not a lot for him to work with, script-wise, but he still seems talented, I think. And what else? Nope, that's it. Oh boy. Well, here's the thing. This movie fails on multiple levels. The acting is mediocre at best, the visual direction is lackluster, and pretty much everything about this movie screams rushed or half-baked.
I agree.
It's like an episode of Black Mirror, but one of the bad ones. It's more or less the cinematic equivalent of a bottle episode, but the bottle is full of boring. It's odd, because it's simultaneously a novel concept and something we've all seen before. I was initially excited to see someone delve into the world of MAID, which, if you're not familiar with the acronym, is Medical Assistance in Dying. In Canada, we are definitely seeing how a government program that professes to be about compassion can ultimately be twisted and inflated to a disturbing extent. But outside of this one aspect of the film, everything else seems cliched and trite. Like Peter Gallagher harping on environmental decay. I mean, it's the classic show don't tell mistake. They could have just used incidental moments to build up the idea that this near-future world is struggling with the effects of climate change. The Umbrellas and Window film already do this effectively. A comment about certain foods being rare works well, but then Charles has to literally spell it out over dinner, and it all feels forced.
And I knew full well that the last thing this planet needed was more people. And what did? I had children.
Which leads into the main issue with the characters. None of these characters feel like characters. They all come across as vessels for a particular political message.
Oh my god.
Jay Baruchel's Jared in particular, he's basically just a caricatured stand-in for a MAGA Republican.
Pointing fingers is when this administration repeatedly refers to this crisis as the Asian collapse.
But that's true. China, Japan, India, they're responsible for this.
Shame on you.
The crazy thing is, he's the most fleshed out character of the lot. We learn next to nothing about Rachel and Ashley. They're two-dimensional characters at best. Noah and Charles have a bit more depth, but just barely. And don't even get me started on Dawn. Jesus, what the hell?
So none of this has anything to do with white privilege or systemic anything.
I couldn't even tell you who the protagonist is. Okay, it's Noah, sure. But the only thing he really struggles with is his family attacking him. At the beginning of the movie, he's concerned about revealing his relationship with Grace to his father, but Ashley throws him under the bus and everything is fine. The most dramatic event of the movie is when Grace is shot. She was the thing that was helping him cope with his addiction. He was in love with her, and we never see him struggle with her death. He's fine by it, no worries. Oh, and now he's a successful pianist.
Did he just say penis?
Great. F***ing great. And no, the pacing in this story doesn't help matters. It's all over the place. Dwelling on insignificant moments too long and speeding past legitimately interesting concepts or situations. It's amateurish, and nothing exemplifies this more than the conclusion. Just as the siblings are about to kill Bob, we cut to black. When we return, the family is now enjoying Noah's piano concert. They're all good now, even though they just spent a night trying to off each other. Now they're totally fine and supportive of the one sibling they absolutely resented from head to toe. Oh, and Don's just sitting there, back with the family. I mean, what? And as much as I like Enrico Colantoni, the way he's set up as the antagonist is so inconsistent that it's not even funny. He's a ruthless psycho hidden beneath an affable and charming lug, someone with fake compassion and willingness to do whatever it takes to fill his quota. And we're to believe that once the siblings release him, that he just runs back to HQ with his tail between his legs? That he's not going to bring the law down on this family that killed one of his agents and almost took his life? I don't buy it. It's completely at odds with what's established earlier in the film. Which makes the resolution of the movie feel like 8 tons of hot bullshit. It's so contrived and unfulfilling, and it's not done in some clever way that makes you believe it was intentional. No, it's clear that the people responsible for this mess had no idea how to wrap up the story. None of it makes any sense. Absolutely none of it. It's so bad, it's insulting to anyone who actually made it this far in the movie. So yeah, I didn't like this movie, not one bit. The dude who wrote this trash, Michael Sparaga, whose limited writing credits consist of documentaries and politically motivated films about oil pipelines, couldn't keep his politics subtle.
You're on TV every day defending a government that is made up of the same buffoons who would come onto my show and deny that climate change even existed.
I'm fine with political messages in films as long as they are succinct and not blatantly, painfully obvious. Michael failed at both. And that may have been something an experienced director could have worked around, but we didn't get that either, making this an extremely tedious and difficult movie to watch. It's like trying to stare at Emily Hampshire's frozen, Botoxed face.
Yeah, I'm pretty amazing.
I didn't even realize that was Stevie from Schitt's Creek until halfway through the movie.
Look at his face.
Look at your face.
Yikes.
I'm so sorry. That was rude. That was rude.
As a Canadian, I hate saying that Canadian productions suck. There are some exceptions to the rule, but unfortunately, this is usually the case. And Humane is just another example of this. The production values, the writing, the acting, everything. It's all just subpar nonsense. It feels like something crafted by people who profess to be critical thinkers, but also love to watch broadcast news.
See, I told you, I'm not the only one who thinks network news is bullshit. But sure, give me the silent treatment, because I had the balls to say it to your stupid bare face.
God, don't waste your time with this one, because Humane is a truly terrible movie.
Well, what did you think of that one? Oh my god, fine. Be like that. We're all better off if you don't talk anyway. Yeah, it's a little too late, okay? The video is over.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.